Things are going to start happening to me now.
You've done all the reading. You're a scholar. You're a professor. You've done all the reading. You've done the intellectual heavy lifting.
More or less, eat shit and die.
You wouldn't know a fact if it begged you all night long.
Want to give the wrong impression because I am very high.
Ran up behind him with a hatchet. Smash, smash, smash.
Yeah. Care. I'm a libertarian. What I'm getting is,
did you vote for Joe Jorgensen or Trump?
Who?
Joe Jorgensen. That was the perfect answer. Thank you.
Oh boy, it's Friday afternoon. This is the Libertarian Podcast Review. Tyler Yonke. We've got one of the greatest guests, the best ever, our friend Brian McWilliams. Brian of the Lions of Liberty podcast. How are you doing this Friday afternoon?
I'm good. You give me a lot to live up to. One of the greatest guests ever, man. That's high praise. But then again, you and I did have some good times, some tears, some joy, some hangovers, shared farts among a row of libertarians at the convention in Reno. So you and I have been through the trenches. You know firsthand what I'm bringing to the table here.
That is why I preface it this way. I don't know if you get such top billing, but oh my God, I'm just going to talk a little bit about Reno. So I get in there a Friday, or no, whatever day it was, the first one that we have the convention. I go and sit in the back because I know a few people, but just tangentially. And then we had some guys that came and sat next. They had a gap in between me and themselves. I didn't know them, but you knew them, and you came and sat down. And I'm like, hey, we got celebrities here. And it was fantastic. It was the class clown I got to sit next to for 2 straight days. You crapped out of this on Sunday, but it was fantastic, and we became, at least adoring friends, I think. So.
It was great sitting next to you, man. I thought we had a good little group there. It was me and you and Shane was funny. Next to Shane Kiss, man. It was a good group there of, as you said, it's kind of like, you have nothing else to do but class clown because it's just so much downtime all the time between just irrelevant bullshit, grandstanding, Nick Sarwark pretending to be assaulted in the aisles. I mean, you have so much time to kill that, you better be sitting next to somebody decent at that event. Like I would have killed myself if I was sitting next to the libertarian witch, Daryl, what's his face, his wife, who just is clipping people's hair samples off to try to cast spells on him and shit.
Well, we had a good view of her. She was just right down the way, and he had a nice skirt on. So
he did.
Interesting times, and So once again, I had a great time. I did not get my picture with you. I was going to do that, and then, like I said, you left us.
You got it right now.
That's true.
Just take a screen grab.
I'm not touching you. But one of the other interesting little things that I had there was you and I and Reed were out walking around, and we came across, and I thought it was a fun conversation with Nick Gillespie that people may not realize, and you've probably talked to him a bunch before this, but it was my first time. He was very engaging. He was funny. And to me, it was I just did a thing with Clint where we knocked down Penn Jillette, and I'm going to do another one, breaking news, with Dave Smith on Michael Shermer. I think Nick does amazing interviews because he doesn't know he's slaying these people, but he really is. But he's an interesting guy.
No, he's a fascinating guy. And, like I said, he's really engaging. Like, if you go up and talk to Nick, unless you're some buffoon, if you talk to him like a human being, with an intellect, and I think that's so many times that I was talking to Reed about this a little bit, so many times at events, like libertarian events, especially if you're somebody that other people know, you get a little bit of people being very, I guess, kind of a little bit, I don't want to say starstruck, that's a little bit too verbose, but, a little bit intimidated because they want to sound like they're, impressed, but they also want to kind of, oh, I like you so much. And if you just go up and talk to people like humans, they'll talk back. And Nick Gillespie is no different, so go up and talk to Nick. He is very funny. The interview he did, I don't think you were at Freedom Fest, but he did a great interview with John Cleese.
I listened to it.
Oh, dude, Nick Gillespie was as funny as Cleese on stage.
By the way, great point, and what I want to say before you do is, so I sound smart, I'm listening to that, and if John Cleese is laughing hard at your jokes, I mean, is there anything better?
I would have been rock hard on stage, and if I was Nick, I would have masturbated as soon as I got off stage into a black washcloth, because that's the only thing Nick Gillespie jerks off into, because he's only wears black. Yeah, it's a leather, a damp leather sheepskin. Yeah, dude, Nick's awesome. I'm gonna actually have him on. The thing with Nick, I had him on before, so he and I are familiar with each other, and we did a whole episode on South Park. But I want to have him on. I told him not just to talk about regular, libertarian shit. I want to talk to him more about cultural stuff, and I think I have an awesome topic for him. I'll spill it here. I haven't ran this past Nick yet, but basically, I was thinking of like the topic of, what is the television show that you feel best portrayed the FBI? Because there's so many out there that are so, just slonging, FBI is the greatest thing in the world.
Right.
And now seeing like the corruptness, seeing how fucked up they are, seeing that there are alien reports that we don't know about. I swear to God, man, it's probably X-Files.
I was just gonna say it's the X-Files. It's you and I are so on because so we talked to Nick, and by the way, men, this is what you've got to do when you go on a date. Do what Nick does, which is he asked me and you and all of us like specific questions when someone, and that's why you come away like, oh, he was interested in me. Yeah, because he asked you questions. I mean, he asked me questions. So and it makes you feel like you're important and interesting. So we were out there, he and I were talking cycling, then we had to go in and vote because it was important. So we got Josh, I sent him a message on Twitter. He friended me, or followed me or whatever it is. Then I sent him a message, he reacted. And then I'm like, hey, come on my podcast. And now I've got the the ghost. But it's the same idea of doing something different. And I wanted to talk to him about different stuff, than just the same old questions about liberty, blah, blah.
Well, it's like, at Liberty Plus, man, like that's the concept that I think the new generation that's coming up and getting into things has grasped that. Like it can't just be breaking down, okay, Rothbard said this, Mises said that. Everybody kind of knows the same thing. People can nod along to it, but Liberty Plus is the key, not only to like reaching new people, to keeping people interested, but if you're going to reach new audiences. And I think that that's a lot of what's going on now is bringing people in through different ways, like Kyle Madovic over at, I'm blanking on the name of his podcast, but his thing's like kind of like liberty
and Liberty and Health.
Yeah, there you go, in Liberty and Health. Yeah, so Liberty and Health.
Podcast review show. Yeah.
Yes, great guy, great show. John Odermatt with what he's doing with Finding Freedom, a lot of that too. Liberty and entrepreneurship, liberty and health, liberty and exercise. You're like getting something else in there, so it's not just the same shit over and over again. And for me, it's more liberty and comedy, more liberty and culture, more liberty and like inspiration from a philosophical place. Like trying to, and I can't remember if I told you about this when I was sitting with you. You listen to the show, so but for people that don't, like, I rebranded to Mean Age Daydream for one reason. It's because I think that nobody in the Libertarian Party is preaching a vision that people can get behind of like, look, here's what we can promise people. Here's the dream we can promise people. Here's what you can actually talk to people about that's going to get them excited. What's the daydream, right? All we do is bitch. And bitch about shit and be like, this sucks, that sucks, we were right about that. That doesn't win anybody over. Yeah, they might acknowledge you won in the moment, and then they're going to go and vote for Bernie Sanders because Bernie Sanders is promising them a utopian future filled with fucking, ponies filled with cash. And meanwhile, we're sitting here going, I don't get it. Why we were right about all these things? Why didn't they vote for us? Because we're not inspiring, man.
Yeah.
We've got to sell people the dream of a better future. And even if that means a little bit of creative, not lying, but let's say creative picture painting on our side of things on how the libertarian philosophy could play out.
Well, thank you for just doing what I didn't do, was tell me about your show and what you have going on there. So I'm similar, the whole, I had Mark Claire on, your I don't know, your opposing party in a lawsuit. It sounds like
all things. It's funny. We're doing this. All things to be revealed on Monday, guys.
Okay, well, that's interesting. I have some deposition questions. I'm going to unload on you right here. No, I do have some. We'll talk about.
Do it. You're a lawyer.
I know. What is the
cycling lawyer?
What is the largest business write-off you charge to Lions of Liberty?
That I personally have charged to Lions of Liberty?
Sure, yeah.
Reno. I charged, actually, I didn't charge all of Reno, but individually, I think I charged like some of the Reno trip. And that was like, $350 or something.
Is it true you use the fact you're a podcaster to get wild pussy?
It did not help me get my wife because that predated it. And since then, I have tried and failed many, many times.
Okay, well, we'll keep going on this. Anyway, the point is, talk to Mark. There's a whole idea and out there, stop, get a job, get money before you invest in the libertarian movement. I don't have a problem with that. But you talked about Kyle. It's funny. I
say Madovic. Maybe it's pronounced slightly different. Yeah.
I think that's what it is. But when you crapped out on me yesterday, I had in the pipeline. He had done one on family law, and so I went and actually reviewed it and did a large breakdown. And I think that's going to be my kind of push of like parental rights and stuff, and helping people get an understanding of things. Anyway.
No, I like that. I think that's awesome. Yeah, that's an awesome topic.
And by the way, if people are out there and they have ideas and suggestions, by all means, watch that show and talk to me. We'll get things going. But my mean age daydream is people say get a job. I say mental health, because Kyle talked about this. Mental health, blah blah blah. Your teeth and your teeth and physical health, starting with, and mental health, some spirituality. Then we'll talk about the money. I think those are the starting blocks. If your teeth are mangled, I don't want to hear about your get me a job.
There is a lot of truth to that. Well, there's certain indicators, right, that people immediately look for, like with just human psychology, when they meet somebody, to know if this person, if they should trust them, if they like them, if they're on the up and up. And sadly, a lot of it is physical indicators. And yeah, for sure, man, if you got fucked up teeth, people are not going to view you with the same respect that they're going to view somebody else. Even if just trim your fucking ear hairs, trim your nose, dude, nose hair. If you have nose hair coming out and it's half an inch long, I don't care what you have to say to people, it ain't gonna resonate.
Because they're just gonna focus. I just trimmed my eyebrows the other day. It doesn't take much.
I need to
trim
mine.
You don't have to be Andy Rooney.
See, mine, you've got good eyebrows. Mine are thinning, and now I have those crazy ones that are like real long loopers that just stick out. I have a joke I tell about my eyebrows just going crazy directions. One's just anti-Semitic out to the right, yelling things. But yeah, when I trim them down too much, they get too thin. But still, you gotta fucking maintain.
Right.
And that's one thing I swear to God. Yeah, people just don't. People in our movement, they don't maintain themselves, and maybe they're like, well, I don't care about physical appearance. I'm a philosophical genius. Sure, but you're a philosophical genius that no one's going to listen to because you look like a maniac or a homeless.
Right. Right. There's so many little things here. Magoo says fix your teeth. I believe that's true. Justin Mitchell, by the way, he was out there with us at Reno. He's a good guy. He said, whatever, fuckhead. So what's the deal with the fuckhead? You said, good morning, fuckhead. I'm the fuckhead. You're the fuckhead. Who is the fuckhead?
Well, as the song goes.
Yeah, and I get to hear you sing. Sometimes your song is longer than your rant. What's
that's bullshit. The rants are long enough.
I know.
Well, man, look, hey, every morning I do. So as you mentioned, I do a show called Good Morning Fuckhead. It's for our Patreon. I do it. I try to do it every day, and sometimes life gets in the way. But they're like 5 to 10 minutes usually. I'd say usually set around 6-7 minutes. But the fuckhead thing is like. The whole question, like it's in the song, am I the fuckhead or you the fuckhead? I don't know, but it's Good Morning Fuckhead because one of us is always going to be a fuckhead somewhere, right? And I like the idea of starting off the day, and this ties into a broader idea for a show which may or may not come out with Lions of Liberty. I may do it on my own, which is called Good Morning, I Hate You. But it's news from the position of somebody that wakes up and is not a chipper dickhead like a Regis and Kelly. It's grating. Most people wake up and they're like, I feel like shit. I don't want somebody chirping in my face. Let's be shitty together. And that's kind of Good Morning Fuckhead. We'll do one piece of news. We're going to be shitty together, and then we'll get our day on.
So a question kind of along this lines. It was posed to me, and it's probably been posed to you over your life as well. You're dating someone.
I am straight, happily, but thank you. I'm flattered.
The sex I have is with these men is not gay sex. Okay.
Still exploratory,
right? The question sometimes from a girlfriend, maybe I hope this is not from your wife, is like, yeah, but would you what are you going to leave me if I get fat? What's your answer to that? Because my answer is always, well, yeah.
Well, and my wife's probably listening next year. My pregnant wife, by the way, who's doing my wife's doing 2 weeks, so. No, she's gonna listen to me. No, I do recall there was a time when we both got a little chunky, and I gently would bring up, maybe you want to go to the gym. I would never leave her for being fat in any way. That's an impossibility. But I think you gently have to bring up these things, and then you get into catch-22 of her going, every time you tell me to go to the gym, it makes me want to go to the gym less. And I go, well, I don't know what we do here then. I don't know what we do here.
Don't go to the gym. I don't want you to go. No,
exactly. And then she's like, I won't. No.
My point on that, though, is when you have a good relationship, right? Like I want to take care of myself. I want to, be the best I can for my wife, stay in shape, whatever you're doing. You're talking about, trimming yourself up and doing all these things. That's my point. And if you have a solid relationship, those things are going to continue on. So I always think it's kind of a stupid thing. And if you're going to go that way together, you're going to get the minivan, you're going to do all these other things that are just as bad for your life anyway.
Yeah. I mean, there is a good point to that. Without a doubt, I think it's kind of like when you think of a pro sports team, right? And there's pro sports teams that are excellent and they play a team that's all shitty.
Yeah.
And it's called playing down to your opposition. But at this point, you're not playing down your opposition. You're playing down to the one you live with. And as soon as you tacitly agree to say, look, we're not going to give a fuck about our physical appearance, what we do or what we eat anymore, you will find a very steep descent. And no matter how good you think you are, you will play down to your opponent if you allow that to happen. And I agree. It's a slippery slope that's dangerous. And like I said, my wife and I did it. About 3 years in, we both gained, I would say, for me, my fighting weight was like 185, 190 at the time, right? And I'm 6'3". And now I'm probably at 200, right? But I'm also 42. Her, she probably gained a good 25 pounds. I probably gained a good 25 pounds. And we looked at each other like, this is all bad. Like we're tired. We're not as attracted to each other. We're too tired to fuck. We're too tired to do anything. And this is before we had kids. If you're too tired to fuck because you're fat and eating shitty food before you have kids, you have a problem. So we recognized that, remedied it, and then started fucking again. Now we got these kids, so we're too tired to fuck.
You got kids, well, congratulations. You have another one coming, is that right?
I do, yeah. I have a little girl that's 2.5, and I have another little girl on the way.
Oh, well, congratulations. I have 4, and they're 16.
You have that cyclist stamina, man. That's why.
I do.
You just keep on pumping. You got those big quads. Keep pumping.
Well, the kids are 22 down to 16, and they take care of themselves. I absolutely love my kids. They're fun. They're based. They're great. So hopefully that happens with you at some point too. Okay, let's talk about kind of why we're going to do here today. This came upon my radar when Adam Corolla just recently had mentioned what a dumb fuck Gavin Newsom is. I think he was on Tucker Carlson. So I went back and I was like, oh, I remember actually listening to this interview at the time. It was like in 2013. And it blew me away because you hear Gavin Newsom talking about all these things and you're like, oh, he seems like a whatever guy. And we'll play some of these clips. But then you know what he is now. Mm-hmm. And I start to think to myself, what is he going to do? What is he going to say he's going to do when he gets into office? Like if he's going to be a president, as an example, and he's running these commercials in Florida. What a weird change in what he used to say from then until now. You live in California. What's your take on Gavin, and why do you love him?
Yeah, I mean, obviously he's a beautiful man. He looks exactly like Christopher Bale in American Psycho, or Christian Bale. He does actually look uncannily like Christian Bale in American Psycho, by the way. Like the smile, that sociopath smile is there. But, I mean, Gavin Newsom, he is a man who, as you said, came in and, he's got this kind of like, almost like a George Bushian, the George W. Bushian. He tries to portray like an approachability, right? Like, oh, shucks, I'm just a nice old guy. And look at my perfect smile. But then he is a true psychopath. He doesn't put it all together. Like he doesn't connect the neurons in his brain very well. And when you try to press him on any of these issues, like the most pressing things like homelessness, I'll give you just one example. Homelessness, they press him on it. All of these programs we spent money on, all of these things, they put all this time and money and millions and programs and all this. And yet the homeless population of California has consistently gone up year over year over year over year. What does Gavin Newsom say? We welcome all the homeless to start over in California. This is literally his response when people press him on the 60,000 homeless that are in, like LA.
Yeah.
So he has the clear disconnect of somebody that is legitimately like a sociopath. So that's where I come down to Gavin Newsom. Like I said, we could go into some more specifics of this video and tape, but he would be the worst thing for the country. I don't think he'll get the presidency, but I don't know. I've been wrong many, many times before.
During the pandemic stuff, right? And we had him here. It's unbelievable. By the way, he lives, I want to say like about 5 miles from where I'm at. So
wow.
Right over there. Now, about 2 miles is a county line, Sacramento to El Dorado County. So he's just in El Dorado, and they were much less restrictive. His kids go to a school that was very non-restrictive. So, people ended up just hating him, I think. But yeah, I had friends saying, oh, he's doing a wonderful job. I mean, does it blow your mind when they are just, getting basically whipped and yet saying, give me more?
Well, I mean, so let me ask you this. So the friends that said that he's doing a good job, sorry, Garbage Man said on Will Fight's. We'll talk about Will Fight's case race in a minute and how genius I was and how amazing I was on that.
I don't know about this. So
it's pretty fucking funny. So yeah, I have to ask the people that think he's doing a good job. Are they in big city centers? Like, for example, in Los Angeles County, you can find some people who will defend Newsom, but I think most people here now will say he's done a shit job because we're being so overrun with homeless, because we're being so overrun with crime that, Gascon, they're trying to do the recall, as you know, which coincidentally, something like 27% of the ballots got thrown, or the signatures for the recall. They threw them out because they said they weren't legitimate. Meanwhile, all the mail-in votes that we used had like a 1% throwout rate. Amazing how that happens when you're trying to recall a Democratic prosecutor.
Now, explain this real quick. So I haven't done a lot of it, but Gascon gets recalled, right? So in the recall election, he was legitimately voted out. And they're saying that vote actually doesn't count because the qualifying signatures means that this never should have been on the ballot in the first place. However, all the votes were legit that said he should have been removed. Is that correct?
I don't even know if it's gotten. Yeah, I mean, I believe what you said is correct, which makes it even more bizarre because, how did it get on the ballot in the first place if you didn't validate the signatures?
Right. Well, they went back and audited and said no, it didn't. But what's the interesting part is like, okay, well, let's maybe they still didn't want him when the vote came. I mean,
right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's basically like getting someone off who committed a murder because the police mishandled a piece of evidence.
Well, no, I'm okay with that.
Well, it depends on the circumstance, but yeah.
No, but I get you. You're talking about OJ.
You're right. Yeah, but you get my point.
Yes.
They're trying to use a legal catch-22.
Yeah.
And just coincidentally about Gascon, my wife, one of her friends was out at lunch at some frou-frou place in West Hollywood. And Gascon sitting there with some, as she described it, some old bitch that looked like Pelosi, but it wasn't. But some old bitch that looked like Pelosi. Okay. And of course, he gets out, leaves the restaurant, and has got 10, security on every side of him. And it's like, so naturally, you'll walk out in the city that you've ruined, that rife with crime and homeless, all this stuff, but you've got 10 security. But you're going to tell us that this progressive matters is great, and we shouldn't arrest anybody, and the homeless are welcome here. But yet you need 10 security guards to walk you to your car behind a fancy restaurant.
I heard his dad is the bomber that was friends with Obama. I'm trying to remember the guy's name.
The Obama?
Right.
It's too easy. It's right there.
Yeah. Sorry. I'm trying to remember his name. He was from Chicago. He was like one of those bomb guys that was in the underground.
I don't know.
I think that's his dad. Anyway, go ahead.
The TikTok underground people, like the people that brainwashed what's her face, that hot chick.
Now everything is leaving my head. You're talking about
what was it? Well,
Weather Underground.
Wait, the Weather Underground.
Yeah.
It's
something like that. I'm trying to remember.
Okay, yeah. I don't know. I don't know if he's related to them or not. I have no idea. I just know. I just know he's a piece of shit. That's without a doubt, Soros backed, and for whatever that's worth. But he, just like San Francisco, who did recall their DA successfully.
Bill Ayers.
know we should have. Yeah.
Bill Ayers.
And there you go. So get real quick though, so we don't forget. Okay. I'll tell you the Will Fight case race thing.
Yeah.
So Will Fight had this case race for charity, and it basically you get in. You had a bunch of people pledge. We did a live Twitter case race, and live Twitter feed.
What's a case race?
So what's a case race?
Is this like a beer thing?
Yeah. Okay. We each bought a 30-pack.
Okay.
And it was me and Will and a few other guys were in it, and just but they all fell to the wayside. And it ended up just being me versus Will. He's a bigger guy, and I'm 6'3", and I drink a lot. So we do the case race, and people are pledging money. None of which he was supposed to donate it to the charity of my choice. I don't know if he ever did. I told him the charity. I don't know if he ever actually donated it or not.
What was the charity?
I think it was either the Hole in the Wall gang, or I don't even know. I can't remember at this point. But this is over about 3.5, 4 hours. I remember it was funny because Olivia, oh yeah, Toad was in it. Toad went out real early. He went out after 10 beers. Olivia Rondeau, before she was big, she was on it, just made an appearance before she was like, on Blaze and all this other shit on Fox News. She was watching the case race. I'm talking shit to her, blasted off my ass. And it came down to, after like 3.5 hours or 4 hours of drinking, we're like, all right, we had a cutoff. And with, 2 minutes left, we were tied. And I think Will was just like, all right, we'll end at a tie and whatever. And he's drinking his beer. And right as it came down to 1 minute, I finished my beer, opened up a new one, and then just chugged, beer bonged. I had a beer bong. I beer bonged one more beer to beat him by one before it ended. And he just thought it was the most insulting, underhanded ploy to beat him in case racing. But I said, that's the rules, man. I drank more. Right. That's fucking it. That's it. Yeah. So,
well, I'll tell you,
we should do another one.
We do this thing, Andy and I, who Garbage Man on here, once a month. We do like it's a knockoff of Kill Tony. It's called Kill Podcast. You're welcome to join anytime, by the way.
Yeah, I'd love to.
And people come in and they do their minute, and it was a shit show last week. But Toad came on. And he, by the way, I've never heard him so good. He was like a Jeff Ross or something. I don't know where this came from, but he also guzzled hot sauce. So that was maybe more impressive as a man.
In his mouth or his ass?
Well, okay, that would have been even more impressive. His mouth, sadly. Okay, let's talk about Gavin Newsom here. Oops, that's not, that's your email. You might want to.
Oh, wait, shit. I forgot. There we go. Now it's on the right screen.
Oh, okay.
I was looking for my FBI email to Nick Gillespie.
There you go. So what is this and why is this?
Okay, so we're going to talk about Gavin Newsom. I was trying to figure this fucking thing out, right? Because I've always known Gavin Newsom is related to Nancy Pelosi in like a roundabout way through marriage, but their families were intertwined, and then I think they got divorced. But still, they were familial. And then Cal Matters, which is like I thought more of a left-leaning site, but they did this whole chart about how all these four families are intertwined and have had control of California for 3 generations. So I just wanted to look at it. I've not looked at it before, so I thought it might be fun to decode it and break it down. So it says 4 families, 3 generations. Brown, like Pat and Jerry Brown. Pat Brown was governor. Jerry Brown, his son, governor. Pelosi, John Pelosi, and then Nancy Pelosi, the House Speaker, and 2 other sons, Paul and Ron. Newsom, William Newsom, who apparently was a big partner and funder to Pat Brown, and a partner in Squaw Valley, which is something that Pat Newsom, like, again, this is where it gets all kind of convoluted. And then the Newsoms, there's other, and also Getty, with John Paul Getty, right? Yeah. And then his son Gordon, who apparently the Newsom family informally adopts. And then they've got, as a judge, Gordon Getty became a judge. Oh, no, I'm sorry. William Newsom Jr. becomes a judge, helps change a trust law to benefit Gordon Getty. Gordon Getty informally adopts Gavin Newsom. And then his Plumpjack business is seeded by the Getty Trust and Billy Getty. But there's all sorts of this overarching, underarching, like family helping family to get ahead, to rewrite laws, to fund campaigns, to develop properties that make them millions and millions. And don't forget, by the way, that Gavin Newsom just gave $100,000 to Charlie Crist or whatever his name is in Florida.
Right.
Just because he just got $100,000 to give away.
Yeah. Well, who doesn't?
Yeah.
What's interesting, I don't know if it's in one of the clips I'll play here, if we get to this, that he actually talks about not having a father really, and then his father wasn't really right. It's his way of trying to sound like he's with the common man.
Right. He's just like us.
Yeah, but when you see obviously here, he's nothing like that. So
no, exactly, informally adopted. So it's kind of like I don't know. I guess Alfred informally adopts Batman, but then trains him to be the Batman. And right. Gordon Getty. It sounds like Gordon Gecko. Just right. Like out of Wall Street. These right. multi-billion dollars. They like their alliteration in names. Informally adopts Gavin to turn him into California progressive Batman.
and I'll remove it here, but that's a lot of back and forth of adopting of the Newsoms and the Gettys.
Yeah,
it's really weird.
Informally adopting money, because if you formally adopt them, then they have a right to your money. So they informally adopt.
Which doesn't mean anything. It just means you're taking care of them.
Yeah, take care of it, and clearly ceding their business interests, everything else.
Right. Okay, let's start off with this ad, the Gavin Newsom, which I don't even understand, but maybe you can dissect it for me.
It's Independence Day, so let's talk about what's going on in America. Freedom, it's under attack in your state. Your Republican leaders, they're banning books, making it harder to vote, restricting speech in classrooms, even criminalizing women and doctors. I urge all of you living in Florida to join the fight, or join us in California, where we still believe in freedom. Freedom of speech, freedom to choose, freedom from hate, and the freedom to love. Don't let them take your freedom.
Paid for by Newsom for California Governor 2022.
Whoops.
That's so confusing.
Why is that happening? Why is this ad even out there?
I don't understand the logic behind it, right? Newsom for California 2022. I mean, in a way, I guess it's a brilliant PR move. And I'll give his PR team that, right? Because I do public relations for a living. And he did kind of like the response to Ron DeSantis and the Top Gov video, right? Where he got so much more coverage than he should have for a ad that was placed primarily in the Florida marketplace. Gavin Newsom smartly, if it was his idea, put this ad in Florida knowing that it would get picked up as a bizarre undertaking, right? Because why would a California governor run an ad in Florida?
Right.
So that's very clever, because the national media was like, this is crazy. Why would he do that? He's clearly running for president. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. But it got him free publicity. So there's that. But everything else in that was ludicrous for him to claim that California is anyway more free than Florida. I guess the abortion things you could say, because they wanted Florida after 15 weeks doesn't let you have an abortion. California obviously does. But everything else, like voter suppression, the most ridiculous horseshit ever. Never a solid concrete example of that happening anywhere, by the way. Not in the last, or at least not in the last 50 years. And what else did he say? Talking about banning books, censorship. All right. I guess you could say if you take books out of public libraries and schools, that's banning books. But California does the same thing. All these progressives do the exact same thing. Censorship, I don't know, because they're talking about they don't say gay bill. That's not censorship. Right. That's an education curriculum, right? Which again, we could call censorship not reading, War and Peace to second graders, censorship. So it's all horseshit claims. But again, the genius of it is that he got national attention for this stupid commercial running in Florida.
So are you aware of the LPNH tweet yesterday?
Are you talking about the one about McCain?
Yeah.
Yes, I am. I'm aware.
So is it similar to that? I mean, like they're getting something out there.
I would say
they
yes.
got written up in media in other places.
Yeah, I would say it is similar. Now for me, I don't personally think that is the best move. I understand the tactic, and I usually am okay with their tactics. That one, I don't know. And people can disagree with me on this, but I do think that you're going to elicit a reaction, which is fine. But at the same time, I think people that you might be able to convert to come to your side now are probably putting up their barriers and saying, all right, you know what? I was with you on all this other shit, but fuck you. So I think that tweet personally to me was a little bit too alienating, because anytime you get into, legitimate people crying over a corpse, I think that is going to piss off more people than it's going to help. And while sometimes angry people can be good and outrage can be good, for me, that one pushes it a little bit too far. And you're going to ostracize, especially for libertarians, a lot of the people that come to us are veterans of the military. And I think that you risk ostracizing all those people, even if they agree with most of what we're saying. I think that they're going to go, you know what, that's fucking bullshit. Fuck you. You don't shit on a dead American, who's coming back home from abroad.
Right. And look, I didn't take a stance. I was all over Twitter. I really had one of these banner days where I felt good. Things are sliding out good. I did have the shit, so I was on the toilet for a lot of it. So I understand now how Trump feels, and maybe that's why he's in the zone. But my problem with it was the pushback from like the libertarian types where they're suddenly standing for this neocon, and I'm just
Right.
like, to me, you're good with ripping on the Bidens, the Clintons, everybody you want. Suddenly now this is out of sorts, and so that for me was where I took it. I think Dave actually he made a comment on Clint's show last night that wasn't pertaining to this, but it was about kind of the DeSantis stuff, and it basically said never do the bidding of the regime. In other words, why are you standing in right now for this? Just let it go. Yeah. Right.
Exactly. Well, that actually, ties it perfect with the DeSantis stuff. I was talking about on my show with how these Democrats can't let the YouGov, Top Gov thing go. Just let it go. Same thing with libertarians. I agree. I saw it. I was like, meh. All right. Not my favorite, but I'm going to let it go. Same thing. I'm not going to make a big deal of it. I'm not going to take it. I'm not going to take it. Use it. I see what they're going for. So you hit some, for me, it was, all right, you hit some, you miss some. For me, I feel like this is a little bit of a miss. But again, I'm not going to go after them and say that they're horrible people and say, again, I'm not going to defend the neocon right and that you can't ever besmirch the memory of a soldier or whatever else. I'm not going to say that. Like I said, I just think this one was a little bit off the mark.
Right. Reed, we're talking about you. Okay. Let's start with some of this because you know who did that tweet. Okay, so we're going to start off right from the beginning here. This is going to set it up, and then we'll go from there. Let's see what we can get through. But this is just a great way to see where Gavin Newsom was back in 2013 and where he is now.
And I did not know he was a wine guy.
A wine guy. I have a real job. I'm not just one of those takers in politics, taking your taxpayer dollars in my pocket.
I gave him a little hit off the Mangria before he came in.
That's serious stuff. Just in my own backyard. I've got a couple wineries, and now I started right out of college, opened a little wine store, and got in the restaurant business.
Remember, right out of college.
Actually.
And by the way, let me stop me if you ever need me.
Yeah, I'm just gonna keep jumping in because we'll just pause. Like say MST 3K.
Right out of. By the way, that's why your chart now comes in perfectly. Right. Who gets to do that out of college?
It's so fucking funny. Yeah, that's the qualifier. I've got a couple wineries, but don't worry. I worked hard. I'm an entrepreneur. I opened those wineries right out of college.
Right.
Like anybody could do. You could do it.
Yeah, my son's almost out, and he's gonna start a winery.
He's got 3 wineries lined up. Yeah, right. It's so ridiculous. But you love the qualifier. Yeah,
growing grapes.
Well, the thing that I found impressive when I was reading your IMDb or Wikipedia or whichever it was this morning was, you started off in a business and you started running the business and it became successful, and then you had a little run-in with an inspector.
Well, you did read up. Well
and
done.
He wanted you to put in a sink to the tune of $27,000.
Can't make it up.
And in a place that was unnecessary, like a mop sink where there was carpet or something like that.
100% right. Here I am opening my little wine store, create some jobs. Everyone's preaching the importance of job creation. Right. I'm 23, 24 years old. My first business, and then the health inspector comes by and says, "Where's your mop sink?" I said, "What the heck are you talking about, mop sink?" And the place is completely carpeted, to your point. And I'm like, "What am I going to mop?" He goes, "Well, that's the code. It says you got to have a mop sink." So I refused to do it, which was dumb.
Right.
Because it delayed the heck out of me. And we finally had to recant, and I finally put in the mop sink. Today, we just had our 20th anniversary. That damn mop sink is still there. It's never been used except to, and appropriately so, water plants.
Right.
And so that got me immediately engaged in what was going on at City Hall. And that's how I found my way into politics, because I was...
I call bullshit.
Go ahead.
No, that's that clip. So what do you got in there?
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, number one, what kind of an asshole carpets a fucking wine store? You're gonna have spills, Gavin. Unless your carpet is the exact color of the darkest wine you have, that's a fucking idiotic move. Number one.
It was some sort of white shag of some sort.
Oh right, yeah. It's a deep shag, like 3 inches deep that you could sleep in like a bed. Right. So yeah, this story number one is probably bullshit all the way through. But carpet all the way is dumb. Now, the mop sink, right? He goes, okay, I couldn't believe I put in this mop sink. I said I'm not going to do it. I refuse to believe that he said he's not going to do it. Number one, he's a bootlicker. He's always been a bootlicker. He will gladly bend over. But number two, he's talking about this mop sink, how much it costs, the inconvenience. Now, I just want to remind everybody, California still, to this day, fights tooth and nail, right? He said that's what got him to City Hall. That's what got him interested in City Hall. To this day, California fights tooth and fucking nail to make sure that every one of those building regulations, those inspectors, that every penny gets pulled out of your pocket to fuck you on any little thing. Like, I had a client that opened up a visual effects post-production house in an existing office structure, in an office park. All he wanted to do was move around some walls, put in a garage door that rolled up in one window or one wall, and I don't know, add some power outlets here and there. He had to do an environmental study to the tune of like, $30,000. So that's, again, Gavin Newsom's full of shit. This didn't impact him at all.
And remember, during the pandemic, he was going to use all kinds of regulators to come in to enforce the mask stuff and everything else. He was going to use other means to come and do it if the police weren't going to do it.
That's right. That's right.
He's so full of shit.
Good point. Yeah, he shut down. There were parties that he had the electric company shut down the house that the party was at, right? And the water got shut off. Yeah, he threatened to have all these things shut down for people that wouldn't obey the mask or the COVID lockdown mandates.
So, by the way, I just thought some of these clips, and by the way, I don't know how much we got started on this a little late. Let me know if you got to cut out. Otherwise,
I got a good, another 35, 40 minutes at least.
Okay. We'll try to get through these then.
I may have to refill my drink though. That's the only thing. You may have to play a clip and I'll listen as I get a drink.
That's perfectly fine. I'm just saying, if you listen to this, I think Adam does an amazing job of looping him in as, hey, I'm their buddy. And Gavin can't help but be, I'm on with Adam Corolla. I'm the fun guy. Look at me. I'm popular. Da 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 da. And he plays into that. And then later on, there's a 5-minute segment where Adam just shits on him. And it's pretty good. Okay, let's go to this next one.
Arrogant. They walk into your home, onto your property. I used to be a contractor. Yeah. These guys walk onto the job site, start yelling at people, tell people to go home, get off that ladder, put that stuff down. And then they do things like this. Like I remember I was building my house. First off, they act like they lent you $10,000 to start a small business. You pay them for the privilege of them coming in and hassling you. Basically is how it works. And by the way, with all these...
those are the fees. You're exactly right. There's a direct correlation. You pay to be inspected. So you're not exaggerating that point.
That's just a short one to give an idea, once again, of the arrogance that this guy has.
Yeah. You love that it's not a commiseratory thing. Like Adam's bitching. And instead of being like, yeah, it's awful, we should change that, he's just like, yep, those are the fees. That's how it works.
Well, and he acts like it's a problem.
Cool story, Gavin.
And by the way, the importance of this is he acts like this is totally. But we're in hindsight now. We can look forward and go, okay, so what did you do about it? Matter of fact, you overdid it on the other side. So, okay. Let's keep going here. Whoops, sorry.
You're hardly the only one. I mean, these examples happen all the time.
Well, what are we doing?
It's frustrating. We got to change. We got to humanize government. We got to change the rules. We got to make it more flexible, more adaptable. We got to make things. This is the whole. I don't want to go back to my book, just be that polished book, but this is exactly why I wrote this book. You talk about going on Amazon. We could sit there and order our groceries, buy, a TV set and shoes, and have them delivered overnight on our doorstep, and then you walk into the DMV. Enough said. I mean, the fact is we have a complete disconnect. And for government, dare I say it, at peril of being quoted, but for too many of us, the interaction with government sucks. Yeah. And it's dehumanizing, not humanizing. And why is it that the rest of the world gets this and businesses get this, where they're customizing services? We have standard services. And we're living in a world where people want more choices. But in government, it seems like every day we're getting less and less choices. Intractability, clay layer bureaucracy, the civil service system that stifles ingenuity and entrepreneurialism, all of that must change.
Okay, so that was him back then. How do you think he's followed through on that kind of concept?
In no possible way, shape, or form has he followed through in any of it. If anything, I would argue, he's talking about how you need to humanize government, and obviously, it has to be more adaptive, more subtle. You just look at what happened during the lockdowns, the new layer of bureaucracy they put onto everything, the new level of enforcement they put on things. And in the meantime, talk about humanizing government. Okay, there were no humans in government during that time. The DMV was shut down effectively. Right? Yeah. During that time. Right. You couldn't get basic services. Good luck, even trying to call and contact a local inspector. You couldn't get an inspection for your business if you wanted to open your business. You couldn't get anybody to come through. And in the meantime, Gavin Newsom is literally off living a different life. He is living the life of a human, but you are left to answer or to call through to a call center where nobody picks up the phone, nor can you reach a human being in any way, shape, or form, where your kids are forced to stay home from the biggest government entity, one of his biggest backers, which is the public schooling system. Yeah. They are forced to stay home, meanwhile, dehumanized, look through a screen. That is now your interactive ability, according to Gavin Newsom and the California government.
Yes. So I don't know what once again, I don't know why he's advertising in other states, but this is the kind of guy you can look at. Okay, the next one here, I skipped over. We're just kind of curious to this. I'm not sure. I said how to hate government. That's that's the title.
I tell people all the time, look, here's how you will learn to hate the government.
There you go.
Try to build something on your own property.
Listen to this podcast.
Or try to start your own business.
No, we're going to change
this
it.
podcast.
I'm here to change it. Citizenville's about changing it, reinventing it. I'm not giving up on it.
I want to shed some
Is that
light on
this
this
book?
cockroach.
Is this stupid book called Citizenville?
Yes.
Oh God, are you fucking kidding me? That's amazing. I never knew that.
Part of these, there's not really much to say other than to hear him comment about it, and then to understand in our own lives about where what's actually happened from there. So.
Okay, yeah, keep playing. But what the repetitive theme for Gavin Newsom is a fundamental disconnect from the bullshit he's pitching, from the reality that he lives in, and that he thinks he has given us a gifted, I think, to the people of wherever he's at, San Francisco, where he was the mayor, to being the governor of California. He thinks that we're doing just fine. Right. And even though he's saying there's problems here, he hasn't done shit about them. Right. He thinks that his perspective, his Citizenville book is going to be the cure all for everything. And clearly hasn't done fucking anything. Like, I just think he doesn't live in reality.
Yeah.
And nor has he had to, because he's been informally adopted by Gordon Getty.
Molested, as Andy said. Okay.
Hopefully. God, I hope.
We're not even going to bother sending
You
our
love
guys
government,
over.
don't you? Just
If they weren't rapists, if they weren't hacks, if they weren't squeezing every
the problem is,
ounce of money.
Adam, it's not the people. The vast majority of folks are good and want to do the right thing. I mean that.
Oh,
but
yeah.
They're trapped in a
Of course.
fill in the blank
I want to just say I don't believe that.
system, man.
Right,
And
so they
that's
don't
what's got to
care.
change. You got to. I mean, Obama, when he ran for president, you may recall, said, "We can't just change the players. You got to change the game. We've got to change the game. We got to change the system of government and the system of incentives, because there's incentives for bad behavior. I mean, hell, you know this. Look at Congress right now. 3-1 head lice is favored over Congress. 2-1 replacement NFL referees are still favored over Congress. Yet we continue to reelect them over and over and over again.
Drives
We
me nuts.
incent bad behavior. We've got to change the incentives.
Listen.
Okay, what is your take on replacement NFL refs?
Well, NFL refs are despicably terrible.
What about
They're
head
always
lice?
terrible.
You look like that's a problem for you.
It is a problem for me. It fucking really pisses me off. I get angry as fuck, man. I'm a big Eagles fan. No, I was just shaking my head at, again, this guy, he's like, we have to change government, we have to change the way the system works, blah, blah, blah. Of course. And also, he's like, he acknowledges that people hate government. They hate what's happening with government. But at the same time, he doesn't really want to change anything. God, this fucking camera I got to stop leading in and out. That's the problem. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. Oh, just about how much people hate the government, and also how we incentivize bad behavior. And you look at that, and then you also look at incentivizing bad behavior. Again, Gavin Newsom's expanded the welfare state in California. Gavin Newsom wants to pay illegal immigrants for their college. He wants to pay for their college for illegal immigrants. Is that not? And look, wherever you fall on the spectrum of libertarianism and borders, I'm sorry, if it's still illegal, they're still not paying taxes, and yet he wants to force other people to pay taxes for illegal immigrants that came in here and broke the law effectively. Is that not an incentive for bad behavior? Like everything the homeless who stab people in the streets, who fucking have encampments, sorry, my dogs are being let in my room, so I was going to pick up my kid. They passed a law in California, which I was initially for, decriminalizing theft up to $900. And guess what's happened? Now, roving bands of children, 14, go and rob fucking stores, rob the CVS, and take all the makeup and sell it on the street. That's incentivizing bad behavior, Gavin. And you have been the fucking #1 cheerleader for incentivizing that bad behavior.
Completely true. If you need to take care of your dogs, we'll play the next clip. But oops.
I need to grab a beer. Oh,
Okay.
that's all right. He's just gonna sit back there. I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna go in my garage. How long's the clip? I'm gonna listen and grab a beer real quick from the fridge.
This one, we'll play it. If you can listen, that's fine. You got your headphones on. You can be mobile. So go ahead. We'll play it. Go ahead.
All right, do it.
We do nothing to inform the citizens of this. Now, we have tons of campaigns like Click It or Ticket.
Yeah. I know you don't like that.
Explain to me why it's necessary.
It's you know what?
You think it's necessary?
I can't even go back to the origins of it. It's a good
can.
point.
I can go back to it.
You're passionate about this. This is good.
I'm passionate about not wasting everyone's time and money.
When was that law established?
In 1976.
All right. I was 2 years old.
Cars that were built, every car that was built came with a placard that lit up and a chime that went off. Try to get in your car and try not to click your seatbelt and see if there's not a buzzer going off.
Yes.
So if we have a buzzer going off inside of the car,
Yes.
why the electronic campaign outside of the car?
Legitimate. Why didn't you run for mayor?
90.
I mean, why? Seriously, it's time for you to put your name on the ballot.
96.6% of people in California wear their seatbelt.
Yeah, it's good.
Do we still need the campaign?
Well, it's, I mean, for the 3.5% or so percent,
let's just say everyone graduated.
We believe in, 100% compliance.
No.
Save lives.
If everyone graduated, virtually everyone graduated from high school, we wouldn't need a big campaign about graduating.
So the fear is
high
if you
school.
stop the campaign, then those stats drop significantly.
They can't. It's built into every car. You can't forget. You can't drive your car.
Are there a few exceptions?
No.
Is there not one car that doesn't have that?
Cars that were built pre-1976.
Not one comes out. There's not one.
The Gremlin.
There you go.
From
See,
1974.
What about all those Gremlin drivers?
Look, it's stupid. We're stupid.
I don't know what your family. So my dad is he's a mechanic. Okay, and all of life. He's the kind of guy that you'd go to the store and he wouldn't need to use a calculator to determine change. Right? He could just do it in his head. Smart guy, practical guy, and I think it's a William F. Buckley quote where he'd rather be ruled by the first 300 in the New York phone book than the top at the Yale or something. This is what it reminds me of. Adam's just a regular guy, and you figuring out solutions and like saying this is something we just don't need at all. And Gavin just kind of like blown away by this thought process.
Well, I think, and also it's funny. I encourage everybody to listen to the full interview because it's just funny. You could hear even in the clips. Corolla starts off nice and then gets angrier and angrier because Newsom's feeding him such a line of bullshit every time that he just keeps getting more and more angry at him. The thing I loved about that clip is that Newsom he embodies the perfect example of everything wrong with government and especially progressive big government mentality, which is if one person is doing something wrong, if one person isn't doing the thing that we think that they should do, we have to have a blanket law to punish everybody, right? You can't just allow people to live lives. And look, that guy's an outlier. We don't have to worry about that one guy who's not going to do it. He's not going to click his seatbelt and make that choice. No, fuck that guy. That guy can't be allowed. And that's literally what Gavin Newsom was saying there. What about that one? What if one person doesn't buckle their seatbelt on him? Who fucking cares?
Right.
But they have to crack down on you for that one guy.
That and that's what Andy's saying here. Wait, he just said 100% compliance for that too. Yeah. And by the way, takes me back to the Penn Jillette thing where he tried to compare you not being vaccinated or not wearing a mask to a drunk driver, right? And it was a weird kind of conflation there of forcing you to do things. And I'm like, first of all, not everyone drives drunk. So you're assuming as the mask or
some people are really good at it.
You have to practice.
That's why we didn't do the show yesterday because I would have had to leave early and driven drunk to get my dog.
I went to a Lakers game when I was young and at the Forum, and I was leaving with my dad, and this guy had a shopping cart full of Coors, and he was singing a song. He goes, "Drink and drive, stay alive, drink Coors." I always remember that. Okay, let's go to this next one. Did you get something to drink there then? Looks like.
I got a Bud Light.
Okay. That works. Okay. This one is, we're working our way. This is a small business working hard guy.
Poor guy in the corner selling something that people apparently want. Those flowers. I mean, I'm
doesn't want it.
The
guy doesn't want it. The guy who owns the flower store a mile away, who's being undercut.
Well, there's competition, so it's making those flower stores more aggressive.
You sell wine over here, but we got a Mexican who makes his own wine. He's going to stand down the street from your wine store.
I admire the small business person, the entrepreneur, gets up, tries to sell a thing or two, and wants to make a difference.
No,
feed their family, working hard. At least those guys are out there working hard.
Oh, listen,
here's Joe from the CHP.
Who else is working hard? The CHP is working hard.
Look, here's a living, breathing member of the California Highway.
Okay, then he brings in his buddy, the police there, but go ahead.
No, I was just saying, again, it's like Gavin Newsom, and I'm surprised Corolla didn't bring this up, and maybe he does later in this clip. The point is that the guy who owns the fucking flower store is paying the taxes. The guy is paying the regulations, is paying the property taxes, is jumping through all the fucking hoops. Right. And then if you have a guy down the street that's able to sell flowers without doing any of that shit, who, by the way, is getting subsidized by the state because he's a legal immigrant and now a protected class, that shit is not fucking fair. Everybody loves an immigrant. Everybody loves an entrepreneur. Everybody loves a success story. Hustling. Great. Go hustle. But you can't hustle when the laws of the game are different. And in California, Tyler, I don't know if you know any about this, about Venice Beach, right? I used to live in Venice Beach for about 12 years. There was on Venice
Did you do
Beach,
a lot of roller skating without a shirt there?
there's actually, oddly, I'm against it. I voted against it, but there's actually a legal requirement to have no shirt and also a silver thong on if you're going to rollerblade on Venice Beach.
You did not vote against that. Anyway, go ahead. Yeah, Venice Beach.
But Venice Beach, thriving, small stores. It was known for small stores, funky environment, right? This is before the homeless just took it over. But small stores, interesting culture, right? What happened was Gavin Newsom and the people of California and Los Angeles gave such incentives, this is specifically LA, I guess, the cronyism of giving incentives, huge tax breaks to Instagram, to BuzzFeed, to all these mega social media companies, enabled them to buy out and force out local stores from the beachfront that had been there for decades. There's one beloved institution called the Venice Freak Show that got pushed out. Now, maybe they got pushed out because of PC-ness, right? But it had been there for decades. Pushed them out, and now it's Snapchat offices. Pushed out all these small businesses, bars and restaurants. Now it's Instagram's offices. You could say, well, that's the market. But it's fucking not the market when you have them getting a 20% break on their taxes and what they can pay and what they have to pay to push people out and on their rent. That's not free market. That's cronyist bullshit. And that's what Gavin doesn't get here, is that you're basically, in a smaller sense, enabling somebody else to undercut the marketplace because you're forcing one person that's successful to pay these prices and then allowing somebody else to completely do it without any rules in play.
Well, he was forced into that because he had done such a bad job and forced so many other businesses out. Then they have to do those kind of things. So it looks like they're saving it, but they're the ones that are what's the old thing? They hit you with they break their leg and then offer you a crutch, or something like that.
Yep.
So, okay. This one, 29 minutes in, we're still cruising along here. Claims there's a business-friendly state.
Can I have a question?
Yes, sir.
Good,
Brian. Thank God you jumped in.
Well, it is about.
Jeez, I'm getting grilled here.
A lot of that's in the news. That a lot
about
of
rules that exist that I wasn't even around to make.
No, but you're around for this though. A lot of productions, TV, film productions,
leaving the state.
Leaving the state. What's the plan for?
Well, we put together a couple years ago. Schwarzenegger put up a few bucks, not enough, about $500,000 to try to keep these one-way productions here in the state. But you make the point. It's almost every state from Louisiana, New Mexico, Michigan, notably New York, not least of which, of course, foreign countries like Canada and New Zealand and others have been very aggressive. When I was mayor, I was the only city in the state of California that actually came up with local production credits out of the frustration of a lack of aggressiveness for the state. We were able, despite historic budget deficits the last few years, to keep that program going, which was a good thing, and it's beginning to have some impact, but it's not enough, and I think we have to be much more aggressive because we can't afford to keep bleeding these jobs.
Okay, so you jumped the gun and basically stole the thunder from what he was going to say there. Then
I'm good at that. They call me the prophet. They call me the seeker. They don't call me the watcher though. That's good.
So what's coming out from that? When are we finding out the good, the bad, the ugly? Tell us.
Oh, which one? What are we talking about here? Hold on, wait.
Your Mark Claire.
The Lions?
Yeah.
I don't know how many people got that reference. Monday. Monday. All will be revealed on Monday.
Am I going to be shocked?
I'm saving, again, I don't want to, I don't want to say too much. I don't want to give too much away. I want to allow Monday's show to come out and Mark to have his piece, and we'll go from there. Okay. I'll leave it at that. High level teaser. But in regards to this fucking Gavin Newsom bullshit, again, so he's talking about production credits. He's talking about, giving people incentives and taxes. The reason is, all these other states are giving a competitive advantage to people to leave, right?
Yeah.
That's the idea. And California, you could argue and say, well, they shouldn't have to do that. We should give them even more tax incentives. I would argue, look, I moved here to be a writer. That's why I came to LA. But, if somebody else, some other state or country is going to offer you a better incentive, go. I mean, look, I prefer that there was no ability to do that. I prefer that nobody gave any tax incentives and it was the free market at play. But California doesn't have a monopoly on this. And honestly, as big as the entertainment business is in Los Angeles, it's still a very small component of a very large city's environment and ecosystem.
Yeah.
You don't own the right to have the entertainment industry here, and you should not fuck everybody else over by giving them massive tax incentives at the detriment to other businesses that could thrive in the wake of them leaving. That's the way it is.
Right. You would keep more people, like if, Florida, you think about it, and it's like, well, no income tax.
Right.
I mean, I don't know why. I don't know why I'm here. Okay, here we go. This is what's this clip say? It doesn't matter. We'll figure it out.
What is next for you politically? Where are we going?
After this, I want if I'm dumb enough to stay in this. I mean, you gotta attack me. I gotta get the hell out of this.
Well,
you
can go back to Napa, sell a few books,
right. I got the book. I got, by the way, a book to begin to solve these problems. You'll like my book.
I will.
It's about individual liberty, self-government.
It's about
being more efficient, responsive, effective. It's about not having government do things to you, as you describe, but doing things with you.
It's
about
called Citizenville, by the way, and it's available on Amazon as we speak. But Gavin, all right, I won't grill you anymore.
Can we pause real quick? I just want to make one point.
We're done with that clip, so.
Okay, it kind of goes along with my take on public-private partnerships, right? So Gavin Newsom says, well, it's about not having government do things to you, but having government do things with you. Now, this is utter fucking bullshit. What happens with cronyism is either public-private partnerships are either the government forcing a private company to do their bidding, or a private company lobbying the government to team up with them to fuck other people over in the marketplace. Yeah. Those are the only two ways these things work when you work with government. It's either you are subservient, like a Facebook, like a Twitter, right? You are working with government to be subservient to government, aka you're selling your soul, selling some of your profits, selling your core offering, and probably misleading your investors and your clients. Or you are fucking other people over in the marketplace, but taking advantage of government. Now, for me, I'd rather the second happen than the first in most cases, but they're still both evil. Cronyism is evil. Crony capitalism is evil. Lobby, it's all evil, but it's all as a result of massive government, which Gavin Newsom is clearly all for anyway.
So you probably heard the Mark Zuckerberg interview with Rogan. I started to listen to it, and it's like the first hour, and I'm like bored off my ass, and so I didn't even get to this big quote, which I've seen.
The good part? Yeah, I don't hear the good part.
Right, and so as an attorney, by the way, there's some idiots on Twitter. Angela McArdle said something about
she is an idiot.
No.
We're going different way.
Rephrase that. Yeah.
No, all love to you, Angela.
No, we love Angela. No, she put out a tweet of like, hey, basically like mocking the libertarians about it's a private business, bro, type of thing. And of course, Dan the Taxman Berman comes in there and he tries to, well, if there's an agreement, and I'm like, you dumb fuck. This is literally state action, and if there's state action, you do have a First Amendment violation. This is not the time to lick the boot. Once again, don't do the bidding of the regime.
What has happened to Dan Berman, by the way? I don't understand what happened to him.
What's in the hat?
What is there something? Is there a Manchurian Candidate chip in the hat now? Because he used to be pretty good, man. Yeah. Now it just seems like he's, like you said, he's just completely flipped. It's like he's arguing with like basic libertarian values, and I'm with you and Angela, and completely. If you are taking government directives, if the FBI is telling you to suppress an information about a major presidential candidate's son that is completely factual. By the way, I like how Zuckerberg in that interview also said, he goes, well, the FBI told us to suppress it, and so we did, because they said it was a Russian information campaign. Great. Okay, and then he goes on to say he still has faith in the FBI as an institution. Why? They fucking lied to you, dude. What are you fucking talking about? They told you to suppress information that's now been proven bullshit, right? And you still have faith in them as an institution?
Yeah.
Now I'm getting drunk, man, fired up.
Sweet. Clip here, and then we're gonna get the kind of the meat of this interview is the next one, but not this one. So what do I have called this one? You're gonna love this. This is fascinating from what you've already said about homeless. So here we go.
People on the planet have that situation. Most people should not be having kids if they're working minimum wage jobs. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, well, I mean, if that's what.
By the way, I love how he traps him in all these things. He makes his statement. Do you agree with this? Well, and then he gets something else. Anyway,
they set their sights to do exclusively in their life is to work minimum wage jobs. It would be very difficult. But in a free society where you don't want interference of government, they have every right to make whatever decision they feel is appropriate in their life.
They don't want interference of government, but they want free lunches after they shit out the kids.
Well,
that's the government.
Yeah, the poor kid, though, is sitting there.
Well, now they do want the government. Well, wait, I thought they didn't want the government.
What are you going to do to that poor kid? You don't want that poor kid out in the streets and sidewalks panhandling 5 years later, committing crimes. You want to take care of that poor bloke. That's not his fault or her fault. It's the parents' fault.
All right, feed them and sterilize them. I agree with you.
No, that's just for pigeons in San Francisco. You want controversy? That's controversy.
Is that what you call homeless people then?
No, that's not. By the way, that was my issue, homelessness, and my passionate efforts to deal with homeless. That's an issue that no one cares about. I care deeply.
Well, listen, the thing about homeless people is they're either junkies or they're crazy or they're both. This notion of like the guy's a hardworking, God-fearing family member who lost his job and now had to take to the streets is total and utter bullshit.
But what about the picture of real homelessness, which is a poor mom with 2 kids with a husband who took off and left her, who's sitting there struggling on that minimum wage job, and all of a sudden now is out in the streets and sidewalks desperately trying to find some help, get her life back, can't get those kids into childcare.
I think that's what happened to
can't
Jewel.
afford them. That's the tough thing.
Yeah,
that's a picture of family homelessness in this country.
That's a postage stamp.
No,
the real picture is bigger than the AIDS quilt, and those are crazy junkies.
Yeah, but no. So what? See, I will challenge you on this. What you're talking about is chronic homeless, which is the picture we have of homeless, which is a relatively small percentage of folks that are homeless. And those folks certainly are struggling with drug or alcohol addictions, duly diagnosed with bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, down self-medicating with drugs and alcohol and the like. They got vocational issues, physical issues, etc. And those folks should be treated as a separate category, and I don't disagree with that. But the vast majority of homeless are not in that category.
All right. Brian McWilliams, what say you?
Well, I mean, I would definitely go down the route of the number of families, as Adam Corolla hits the nail on the head here. The number of people that are truly hard luck cases that just can't find a job, can't get a home, can't do whatever, what bad luck, have no friends, no family. Because that's what I always think of, right, with homelessness. And I used to be really bleeding heart on homelessness. I'd always give money and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
Not anymore. Because, number one, living in Los Angeles, you see homeless out begging on the streets, and they're there all the time. And, a lot of them are perfectly well-dressed. At this point, you don't seem crazy. You're either a liar and you're a scammer, or you see the people that are in fact, crazy or junkies and whatever else. And I have insight into this, too, where there are housing projects. My wife's mother and father, or her father and mother-in-law, or stepmother, sorry, not mother-in-law, they opened up a series of facilities that were basically private clubs where they'd help rehabilitate homeless, right? And the reason they were private clubs is very important because in California, you can't kick anybody out. So if you have a crazy homeless, right, if you open a homeless facility, you say, okay, we're going to give you guys a shared bedroom and you bring homeless in to help them. You can't kick them out because of the rules of tenant law here, which are ridiculous. So private club, private rules. So they could kick them out, whatever. Very successful. They were profitable. Not very profitable, but profitable, right? A great model for how you can help people find homes. They have now decided to shut them down. Why? Because the regulators in Los Angeles fought them so hard to shut them down at every fucking turn that they said it wasn't worth it. So that's one point. Number two, yeah, the vast majority of people are not hardworking, families, a mom out on the street. There are shelters on shelters on shelters. This camera's being a piece of shit today, and it's fucking pissing me off. There are shelters on shelters on shelters, man, everywhere. Women's shelters, especially with kids' shelters. There's organizations out the ass and hundreds of millions of dollars being spent on this problem. That's not the issue. If you are a legitimate person who does not have a drug problem, you're not crazy, and just want help getting back on your feet, you can find that help. It's not hard. It's not fucking hard. The vast majority are, in fact, crazy drug addicts. And even now, they turn all these parking lots into, like, especially in LA, into homeless facilities, right? They give them rooms, a place to keep their shit. What happens? They put their shit in the storage facility, and then they still go out to where the drugs are and people are hanging out and everything else.
Yep.
The problem is not hardworking people. And the face of homelessness is not a mother with 2 kids who's out on her ass.
No.
Bullshit. It's total fucking bullshit.
Well, look, where I'm at, it's outside of Sacramento, so we just don't have a lot. But it's moving at Folsom. It's moving here. And my son, he goes and plays baseball, and it's at this one park, and these are not your I'm down on my luck people. It's your crackheads and whatever having problems there. And by the way, with our employment rate, I mean all the public assistance you can get, the home is not the problem. So this guy's, it's fascinating, by the way, him saying this is my big issue, and then look how it's expanded. Schellenberger, I don't know if you've talked to him or heard.
I've tried to get Michael Schellenberger on the show. I haven't been able to get a response, but yeah, I love his book.
Right, and I've heard some podcasts with him, and he talks about it's not like you say, maybe it's the environment. We have such a great environment weather-wise here, and he's like, no, you do comparisons of like here in Florida, similar things, it doesn't correlate. So that's not it. It's policies in these cities.
Yeah, it's, as Gavin Newsom said, rewarding bad behavior with incentives, which is exactly what this all has been built up to do.
Don't use his words.
And like you keyed on a thing is like, the homes is not the answer. And California's position in most positions, and I don't know what hack wrote this paper, but somebody theorized that it had to be a homes first solution, right? Because clearly people that are addicted to meth and crack and crazy, all they needed was a place to live. No. It's
I
just
saw
wasted
Jesse
fucking
in
money.
Breaking Bad, what he did to that home. That's
Right.
the problem.
Well, that's and now they want New York's wants to force hotels, and California is on the ballot in 2024 to force hotels to house homeless people in their vacant rooms. Oh, that's going to be great for everybody. Think of the fucking insurance cost. Think of how much your hotel room is going to cost now. And you would now have to pay for a homeless person destroying a fucking room in the hotel, and every time you get a hotel room, because that has to be obviously tied into the cost of the hotel. It's fucking madness.
It makes me think that might be a Third Amendment violation. I know it's not quartering soldiers, but you're getting pretty damn close.
That's an interesting argument. That's a really good argument, actually.
There you go. There you go. That's what I'm here for. Okay. This is the big one, I think. Yes. Oh, no. There we yeah, this is the big one. Okay. So stop me if you want, but this is kind of like the part where he really hammers in on Gavin Newsom. So if there's an issue, you just want me to stop, so yell it.
Money put away.
I got it, but think about
Don't
it.
have the kids.
Half of African Americans in the state of California, roughly half of Latino families, have no access to a checking account or an ATM. Things we take for granted. They don't have a check.
What's wrong with them?
And well, because they don't have the resources to set those things
bullshit
away.
stat, by the way.
A lot of different.
Yes.
There's literally no fucking way that's true, ever been true.
Right.
But I'll let Adam do it because he does rip into him great, guys. I'll let him.
This is like you were talking about this the other morning with your San Francisco friends when you're out doing your
the San Francisco I was arguing with racism the biggest problem in America.
Right, where they're talking about voter ID and stuff like that. It's the same idea. You can't get
for reasons, but roughly half those families don't. Where they
why do
end
Armenians have them?
But where they end up is in check cashing places.
But I want to know why those
lenders
groups. Why those two groups don't have access?
Well, a lot of it just happens to be that we can
So
talk
they're
about.
flawed?
This. No, they're hardly flawed, but they're struggling.
Genetically
Folks are making
flawed.
their word. Hardly, not absolutely.
But okay, so do
Absolutely
Asians
not.
have this problem?
I mean, a lot of communities have. A lot of whites have these problems.
Oh,
but
so that's not just black and Hispanic.
No, but
why
I'm
did you bring
you-
up black and Hispanic?
Because the magnitude is ominous.
But why so many of them?
It just happens to be the
Just
magnitude.
that's the way God planned it?
Not at all.
Well, what happened to them?
There are a lot of issues, and that the communities are struggling. A lot
Why
of
are
new
they
immigrants,
struggling?
A lot of different reasons. Lack of
Hispanics have
opportunity.
been here. Blacks have been here
difficulty.
longer than we've been here.
Well, we can surmise.
What
all
about
that.
Asians? They were put in internment camps.
Yeah, in fact, it all initiated out of San Francisco, and
All
the
right.
Chinese Exclusion Act came
So
out.
they
of
are they
progressive
the
San
check cash?
Francisco.
Are they the check cash?
A lot of Asians certainly do.
Oh, so why don't you conclude
because
them?
the only reason why is the magnitude of
There's
the
so
problem.
many more.
The magnitude in percentage.
But there's no way to figure out how that happened.
We could talk about it. You know what I'm dealing with? I don't want to have a sociological debate.
Sure,
I want
why
to deal
would
with
you?
reality. No, here's why.
Why would you want to do that? Because the person from the Times wouldn't write good things about you if you
God,
did that.
No, that's not the case. Because I
You
want
don't
to deal
want
with
to
the
do
reality.
that.
No.
You want to deal with reality.
I want to
I
deal
tell
with
you
the
what
reality of people
is.
that are struggling. People are suffering. I want to deal with the problems in
Why
a
are
pragmatic
they
way.
struggling
I
and
don't want an
suffering?
idea. We can hold hands and surmise about all these
Why
underlying
are they?
reasons.
I don't want to do that. I
but
want to know why
focus
they're
on the
struggling.
challenge.
Why are they struggling?
A lot of folks are struggling because they can't find
Why
jobs.
blacks and
because they're working.
Hispanics? Why blacks and Hispanics?
Across the board, all
Why?
socioeconomic.
Okay, so everybody.
Everybody's struggling.
So Asians are suffering just as much as blacks.
The face of welfare is not an African American family.
So it's Asian, Jewish, it's all of them.
Caucasian. It's
Okay,
a lot of
so we're
folks
all
in society.
struggling.
A lot of folks are struggling.
Okay.
But a lot of folks are
So if I
struggling.
go down to the check cashing place, lots of Jews and Asians.
There are.
Okay.
Just
checking you. Just checking the math.
Absolute fact.
I'm
But-
just wondering why you singled those two out.
Because the percentages, and I think these things matter, are profound.
So why? That's my question.
Well, I think there are a lot of reasons why. And
Yeah.
you want to go back to issues of racism? I'll do that. You want to go back to the debate we're having about the Voting Rights Act?
Yeah.
And the fact the Supreme Court wants to take away Section
What about
5?
their families?
You want to no, but you want to
wanna
talk about
families?
But I understand that. Families are incredibly important. That's certainly part of it.
Yeah,
and
it's
people have to be
very
responsible.
small part of it. It's minuscule.
It's a big part
Oh,
of it.
big.
It is a big
Oh,
part.
well, why
All
don't you
these
guys
things
talk
are
about
part of
that
it.
then if it's a big part?
I just brought it up.
It's a big part. It's a big part. It's a big part that you never talk about?
I do talk about that.
No
I
one
talk
on your
about
side
all this.
talks about that big part?
I think President Obama himself brings it up over and over
Yeah.
again. Go back to his campaign speeches.
Sure.
He's given some remarkable speeches on the importance of fathers in the context of the African
Yeah,
American.
you got to be a hero.
struggle.
You got to be a hero to raise your kid.
No, well, you have to
It
be
takes courage.
responsible
It takes
adult.
courage to
You
raise
have
a
to
kid.
be a
I heard his
responsible
speech.
adult.
It takes courage, Gavin.
I don't know about courage.
It's what,
I think
that's
it
what
should
your
be
president said.
No, but to his
Oh,
credit,
let's hear
he's given
what he
some
says.
eloquent speeches.
Let's hear what he says. It says it takes courage.
And will work to strengthen families by removing the financial deterrents to marriage for low-income couples, and do more to encourage fatherhood. Because what makes you a man isn't the ability to conceive a child.
That's right.
It's having the courage to raise one.
Courage.
Okay, that's by the way, this is
so
brilliant. I mean, this is just a comedian that does hammers and nails and stuff like that. He's brilliant.
But he's, Corolla has, if you listen to a lot of Corolla, he's one of those rare people, like myself, obviously, that has the ability to, one of the best things in life you can do if you're arguing with people, and granted, it's not effective, and I talk to people this week, we talk about libertarianism. It's not effective in converting anybody. Running a trap, it's very satisfying. God damn, is it satisfying. And I ran a lot of traps, like you heard my Good Morning Fucker rants about the San Franciscites.
Yes.
I ran a lot of traps, dude. Let me say, it was all glorious. I talked about vaccines and race, and I ran a lot of trap plays like Adam Corolla did with Newsom here, where you just tie people in knots, and then it's so gratifying when they just completely change to a different topic, as you saw Gavin Newsom do here several times, right?
Oh, that's a big issue. Then why are you saying that? It's
yeah. Oh, well, it's not about that issue. It's about a different issue. Like, that's what happens when you trap these people, and it's very gratifying, but it doesn't win you converts. So I would not necessarily recommend the Adam Corolla / Brian McWilliams approach to a lot of these things, but it is incredibly revealing. Like, you can see, number one, Corolla is insanely intelligent. However it worked out for him, the combination of real world experience, but just he's insanely quick, and you can see he has a bullshit detector that is second to none. And Gavin Newsom could not be more lost here. You can see him. It's like watching somebody on ice with their feet just sliding and sliding and sliding. He can't get a grip because everything he's saying is so easily disprovable and easily bullshit and easily a talking point that Corolla just has a field day with it. And you can see there's no tangible substance below what he's talking about. And it's so funny, even like we're talking about the check cashing thing. He's full of shit. Black people and Hispanic, they have access to check cashing, and it's just fine. And maybe what he's talking about, I bet he conflated people that use check cashing places, right?
With access to a bank.
With access to a bank, yeah. But point being, Corolla drills him on the core key facts that it's not about the race. It's not about the people. He uses Asians as an example. Black people immigrating that are Somalians are so successful. It's about culture and it's about the family, right? And that point of what he's talking about is so underrated in that the number one socioeconomic indicator of your ability to get ahead, to improve your lot in life, is always a coherent family unit. But yet, Gavin Newsom, Obama mentioned in his speech, we got to, get rid of the incentives for families, bring it up. But yet they don't. They don't ever. No. They double down on it. They double down on the welfare state. California is the same. The federal government does the same. Double down on the payments, make it easier. We're going to help you out. We're going to disincentivize you from getting back together and maintaining a family unit. And Gavin Newsom's the same thing. They talk a big game and nothing ever comes of it. And Adam Corolla was absolutely fucking brilliant in dissecting him and showing him just how full of fucking shit he was.
And I could tie it even back into families even more, as why are they using these check cashing places rather than their banks? I'm surmising here. I have no data to support this, but if, as an example, you have a baby mama and she's on a public assistance, Department of Child Support Services opens a case and they're going to collect from daddy. So then they're doing so. You're not paying. What do? They levy your bank account. If you get your paycheck and you put it in your bank account, that is sucked away without your I would rather go to a check cashing where I'm giving them an exorbitant amount of money.
15% or whatever it might be.
Because
20%.
I get the rest of it rather than her. So I'm positive this happens. I deal with this kind of shit all the time. So once again, you have a family and a unit as, and when I say unit, I mean like a family unit, not like a family unit.
Not like a unit.
Randy Johnson, right?
Yeah.
Let me finish off some of this, and then we can finish off here. So.
All right, cool. Yeah, I got about 10 minutes, and I got to wrap it up.
Perfect.
Kids gonna be
but at least he made the point that I mentioned. You accept that it's easy to have one,
yes.
But you got to actually step up and be a man and actually raise one. And he probably used. I think that's what.
I know what you're saying. Yeah. Anybody can eat at an IHOP. It takes courage to pay the bill.
I don't.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It takes
By the
courage
way,
to stay there and pay that bill.
This is the president has spoken not at his State of the Union, as you just example, but he's spoken about this in much more comprehensive and eloquent terms.
Yeah.
And I think powerfully so. And I think principally so. The issues.
This
though,
is his latest one.
But we
Mr.
want to go to
Curry.
the issue of race as it relates to the issues of poverty and what we had in the redevelopment agencies and concentration of poverty
like
and
to end
public
it
housing
myself.
and all these things start to lead to why. The answer to your question: why is it concentrated in the African American community? And looking at that history, one cannot exclude that reality. I just think that's naive to suggest that those things don't matter. When families were broken up.
How about the Jews? No problems in the past?
No, of course. Every community's got
Well,
their
who's had it
struggles.
worse?
Even the Irish had
Who do you think
struggles.
had it worse?
I get it. But
Well, what about the Jews? They seem to be, why are the Jews doing well?
You know what? In
Why?
1967, blacks couldn't even marry whites in this country. Not 1927. In 16 states, they were denied because people use religious arguments to deny people
Jews
interracial
got put in
marriage.
ovens and
I understand.
incinerated.
We'll just end it there. The Jews got put in ovens. That was brilliant.
It does really put on display, right? You talk about, and here's how you get canceled. But yeah, you talk about, okay, slavery, horrible thing. Everybody agrees. Despicable. There's racism. Racism exists. It did exist. It was very pronounced. To Corolla's point, example, Japanese were put into internment camps during World War II in this country. Put in internment camps. It literally locked up in cages. And this isn't back in the 1700s, the 1800s. This is in 1940. No, not 1940, but 1940.
Yeah. 40s.
Locked up at 40s. I'm not sure exactly what year they were locked up. Probably 2 years later. But point being, locked in cages, put away, had all their shit taken because they were enemies of the state, and yet came out okay. You have, like you said, as I said, the example of Samoan people, the Jewish people who went through. To blame something that happened hundreds of years in the past, or even, as you say, 150 years in the past now, or 70 years in the past now, is ridiculous when you say they've been able to overcome. And Corolla makes that very salient point, and it does seem absurd to keep dwelling on it and say, well, it's because of this one factor that now has continued forward no matter what. Not to say that, like I said, racism is not a thing. I actually think white privilege is a thing. I just don't think it's a thing to the extent. We'll get to that. I will tell you, though, white privilege, I thought about this a lot. I think it is a thing. I will distinctly say, if you walk down the street, I think most people are going to have less of a concern seeing a white person than a black person if you look the same, if you're dressed the same. I think it's a thing. I don't think it's a thing where they want you to think that it causes people to not get bank loans or not get taxis or not get whatever, or cause all, or people give you worse service. I don't think that's true. But I think that there is still something there. Now you could say, what is that due to? Is that due to a higher crime rate of violent crime coming from, a portion of the black population that people have now, because it's been reported on? Is that why people think that way? Maybe it is. But I think you have to acknowledge that there is a little bit of an argument to that aspect of white privilege. As much as I'd like to say it's not, I do believe it's a thing.
So let me just... Okay,
go
finish.
No, go.
Well, I was going to say on that, I think that you're not wrong, but it's kind of been pushed, which is, you look back, I think Jesse Jackson had made a comment one time, he goes, you're walking down an alley, there's a group of black men, or there's a group of like Mormons. Which one are you actually going to be, white guys, which one are you actually going to be concerned about? And Walter E. Williams used to say something similar about, his own. But it's gone from that, which is like, hey, get your own shit together, to instead of us getting our shit together, now the white guy is privileged because he's not seen as going to be violent towards me. I don't know if that's privilege or if it's just low expectations.
Well, I would agree with you. I guess I'm using the context of the phrase that we all know, right? But no, you're exactly right, is that there is that, it is low expectations for the non-white, non-Asian. Like, if you see a Jewish guy walking down the street, you're not afraid. In fact, you're probably going to try to walk into him.
Hasidic,
Yeah, and it's like, there's definitely cultures. An Indian guy. But there are stereotypes that are bad. There's stereotypes good, but all stereotypes do come from some sort of background. And unfortunately, like you're saying, there is some background to people saying, okay, well, yeah, I'm a little bit afraid if I see this group coming at me or this person coming at me because of historical context. And that context, for me, as somebody that grew up in, born in 79, grew up in the 90s, in the everybody's the same color, which is what I still think is the best philosophy. I have nothing against any color or any race. I don't give a shit. But you know what? There is still that thing where you know the stats and you go, okay, is this person a threat or not? And I guess it comes a little bit back around to what we're talking about of take care of how you look and yourself. Because I'll tell you this, if you are dressed well, right? If I see a person of any race or color dressed well walking down the street towards me, I'm not going to think twice. If I see somebody that looks like he's shuffling, that he's dirty, that he's not put together, that his head's down, right? There's also something to walking with your head down versus your head up. Right. I walk with my head up and my chest back, looking forward. If I see somebody coming towards me with their head down, kind of looking up, kind of not, that makes me think that they're going to fucking stab me. And I don't care what color you are. and whatever race that might be, the hoodie pulled up over your head, whatever color you might be, I am fucking afraid of that shit. And it just so happens culturally that more people are of the black persuasion that are having a hoodie up, that are wearing that. And maybe you can say, I'm racist for thinking that way, but sorry, it still goes back to the core of that looks to me threatening. And I don't want to get into the whole policing of threatening, like, oh, you look threatening, so you have to be policing. That's bullshit. But when you're looking down this, when you're walking down the street, yeah, you're going to be cognizant of somebody not making eye contact with you with a hood pulled up over their head because that person looks like a mugger, no matter what color you are.
That's why do you think Jesse Smollett had that in his mind, and when he said it, they had hoods on. Right. So yeah.
Right.
Okay. So we're done here with what's your last take with Gavin Newsom and Adam Corolla? I would encourage people to. I'll link it in the show here. Go watch it if you want or listen to it. It's fascinating. And by the way, the last one when he's really all over him, Adam is. I think that is best because early on he was buddies with him. Oh, you're great, and then in the schmooze, he's doing that, and suddenly he being Gavin doesn't know how to handle this, which is telling itself.
Oh, totally. Yeah, I mean, Gavin Newsom is, as I said, he's an automaton. He is Christian Bale in American Psycho. He is a man who preaches what he does not believe and has no real connection to the consequences of what he's preaching. He will in no way, shape, or form change the ultra-progressive philosophy that he is preaching. It will always be the same. The results do not matter. We've seen that play out. They do not matter. You can beat him in every philosophical, theoretical, factual argument that you want. Does not matter. He will not change his opinion. That is Gavin Newsom. So there's no chance in hell he should be president. Maybe it'll happen if they put him up against Trump. Maybe he'll be able to smile his way through. But the man is a fucking sociopath, and as we know from the chart, has lived a life of extreme privilege. Right. Even though he would like you to know. He was straight out of college working hard when he opened up his first of many wine stores and wineries.
Right. So I hope this helps everybody. And you see Gavin Newsom out there pushing this. You could see where he was a few years ago, what he said he was going to do when he got in power, and what actually happened. Last question. Is it true you are bringing Dan Smots on so you might have a chance to replace Clint Russell in the next white rap video? Brian McWilliams.
Number one, I don't rap. I will challenge Clint or any libertarian to a sing-off. If Clint wants to sing, I will fucking go toe-to-toe with him and sing. I can rap, but why would I when I have these beautiful tones? Why would I do that?
Wow.
Why would I?
Have you heard Tim Pool's new song? Sorry, go ahead.
I know it. And also, I don't know. What did you think about Dan Smots' audition on the Lions of Liberty this past week?
By the way, I'm not gonna make. I like Dan. It was fine. Was that an audition?
No.
By the way, I've got some notes. Some people are sending me. Oh my god! And I'm like, and I just sent them the video of you and John talking back and forth. I'm like, this should answer some questions of how real that part is. At least I don't know. Some may be coming, but and then this guy came back and he's like, I'm still confused. And I'm like. I can't help it.
Everybody should, because look, the idea was honestly not to be this confusing. And I put full blame on the feet of Mark Claire, by the way, for this being more confusing. But like I said, Monday, it'll all be revealed, and yeah, I mean, there's going to be changes. There's changes, man. So
that
tune in
happens.
Monday, and
Right.
tune in Monday, and keep tuning in from there on.
I agree. Tune in to everything that Lions of Liberty have. I'm part of their Patreon. I love it.
Thank you for that.
Yes, Brian does his morning fuckhead thing. I
Good
appreciate
morning,
that.
fuckhead rants. Thank you.
he sings. And by the way, if you ever need legal counsel for your Lions of Liberty, let me know. I'll be
Also
glad
me.
to. It's okay. There we go. That's all I have. Check out Brian on everything he does. Mark Claret, maybe. John Odermatt, definitely. And tune in back to here. I'm Dave Smith coming on Tuesday. So that's all I have.
Awesome,
Thanks, Brian.
man. Yeah, this has been a blast. Thanks for having me. And yeah, well, long time coming, man. Good
Yes,
to do it.
I really appreciate it. So hang on. I'm just going to have this unnecessarily long outro, and then we'll see you. Thanks.
Okay, I'm leaving now. Bye, guys.
But she's back.
And now.
Chick-fil-A is completely overrated. It's not that good. I prefer Zaxby's. I prefer Popeyes.
Takes a tough man to make a tender forecast, Nick. And I guess that's me. Keep fucking that chicken.
Should I vote for Dick Cheney on the Libertarian Party? Do I have an
Yes.
obligation to vote for Dick Cheney?
I would say so.
Yes.
Did it work for those people?
No, it never does. I mean, these people somehow delude themselves into thinking it might, but it might work for us.
That one dude was like, not a podcast. I can't find it anywhere. They don't have video.
Oh, yeah, Peter Janke. Yeah.
Yeah, I blocked him.
I'll do it. If he unblocks me, I'll...
He'll buy your shirt if you unblock him, Bert.
He's a wigger.
Yeah, nothing cooler than
So
a
he's
49-year-old wigger.
like-
I just started live streaming. Cut me some slack. I'm pretty high tech for a boomer. But anyways,
boomer.